Hey guys, how's it going? We're here with a new video for the channel, and today I'm sure we're in for a video you've been asking a lot for and are waiting for too, because I brought the first impressions of this pair, but I didn't bring the review. We didn't do the in-depth rundown of this pair, which in this case are the Puma King in their Pro Tour version. So if you want to know absolutely everything about this pair, stay tuned, because today I'm going to tell you all about it. Let's start by talking, of course, a bit as a a bit about the aesthetics ng Pupompo. So we already saw this in the first impressions, of course, but we also need to highlight it a bit in the review because it's a pretty important point. It's a pair that many consider buying because it's a classic pair. Check it out, it's a totally black pair. In a material that isn't leather, tries to mimic leather, and especially at the toe, we have a suede reinforcement. This is practically going to provide a bit more durability, a bit more lifespan to the shoes. In this case, I think the color combination is the most classic black-white. Branding here in black, midsole in white. I really think they've played it quite safe with what always works, the Monigia. Yes, I would have liked to see them maybe in a slightly bolder color. But overall, it's a color that always matches and always looks good. Let's now look at the construction aspect, the technologies that this pair has. Since being a classic pair, it doesn't have too many technologies, because you guys know perfectly that classic technologies are a bit more basic. They are not as, well, high-tech as we have today. The most high-tech thing we have in this shoe is that the vamp is closed, and in this case it's an Ebonite Pro. It's a very elastic vamp, but it's not so compressive, or well, better to say it's compressive but not so elastic. It has a certain level of elasticity but isn't that elastic. Regarding the upper, folks, now looking more in depth, it's an upper that, although it's clear it's not leather, it's not natural leather, it's a derivation, a type of synthetic that simulates leather very well. Why do I tell you this? Because it's a soft, super soft material, and it also has a very good internal padding, hence it also feels quite soft. We have the presence of type of finish both in the internal part, on the outside, which helps us with grip. In this case, it is not a very pronounced finish because it's made of the same material. But I think it might help a bit. Listen, that's on the outside and this is on the inside. Note question, there's two inside of the metatarsal, then in the metatarsal area. And that's then of the inner border where you usually make the pass. We have a different kind of finish. Listen, it's more pronounced. Well, in this case, turma you could say that the distribution of this finish is perfect, because on the inside, where you usually have more contact, there's a slightly more prominent engraving, so it's perfect. Then we have this kind of finish on the eyelets, which in this case will obviously give us a bit more protection. And finally, we move to the instep area, which, as I mentioned earlier, is a closed compressive instep. It's not a very elastic, but it's designed to create a sensation like wearing a sock. You know very well that most shoes with a closed instep aim to create a sock-like feel. And in this case, these shoes achieve that quite well. As for the internal finishes, I think there are things to improve, both in the internal finishes and in padding. The internal finishes seem textile, they are comfortable, which is fine for a classic shoe. It's rare to see synthetic finishes in a classic shoe. The padding is very minimal, quite poor. Honestly, there's almost no padding, guys, it's really poor. And as for the insole, I think it's one of the high points of this shoe. We have nano grip technology. This technology, guys, will help us with incredible grip, especially if we have AF socks. I don't have any here. I actually have some on, but for those who don't know, we already have the AF socks available in black. We have them in white and black.
AF socks paired with this type of insole are a real
gem, guys. Since this nanogrip technology, apart from being a decently cushioned insole, yeah, BESA provides good adhesion of our sock to the insole, whether it's non-slip or just cotton.
About the cushioning, I think it's not very reactive. It's quite dense, feels like an EVA type. It doesn't reach Puma Light or any such technologies. It's a rather rustic rural technology. Like I mentioned earlier, it's kind of like EVA foam, but a little improved because it feels much denser and not really light, to be honest. So in that regard, I think it's pretty good. And regarding the sole, guys, you can see there,
But we also have micro perforations at the back, normal, which will ensure great cushioning at least at the heel part. As numbers basima, yeah, as you know, air always makes cushioning a little better. The air creates that feeling
of lightness. So in that regard, the cushioning is pretty good, at least at the heel parts. On the sole, as you can see, we have some slightly odd studs, kind of like cat paw prints. In this case, they are well known universally because they are
like conical ones. They aren't too aggressive, mainly for a positional player, for a classic player. I think it's pretty good because this shoe is slightly heavy by nature, it's not so light. So a positional sole plus an upper, that's quite good.
a little heavy along with the midsole and all that. Well, it really makes quite a combination, and fair enough, you're not going to put a speed sole when the shoe is a bit heavy, so it's pretty good. Also, I want to highlight again the reinforcement at the toe part in suede, which will make the product last much longer. It's really worthwhile footwear, guys, because currently you can find it for 280 or even 300 soles. Well, from 300 down to 250, I think I've seen it. And for those in Villa El Salvador, folks from the south, you can get them at the Marathon. I've seen them at the Marathon for 279, if I'm not mistaken. And for 280 soles, which is what it costs, I think it's an excellent option. Paying more than 400 soles for this pair, which is what it normally costs, almost 500, seems crazy to me. But for 250, 300 soles, I think it's a more than viable option. This is Puma King in its Pro Turf version. And my final score, China, considering the lack of padding, the internal finishes that are not leather as such, would be 8 out of 10. Many have been emphasizing that I improved the scoring aspect a lot, and yes, I've improved it. In this case, I'll give it an 8 out of 10 because, number one, first discount, we don't have very good padding, and along with that, the internal finishes don't quite convince me. They feel quite simple for a pro range, and besides that, the material is not leather. Normally, the Puma King should be leather because it's the classic Puma model. But, well, guys, in this case, we have a material that's quite similar to leather, but it doesn't quite make it, meaning it won't have the properties of leather to stretch, adapt, become supple, etc., etc. So guys, I hope you liked the video. If you did, as always, you can leave a like, subscribe. I'm Love for Soccer. We'll see each other next time, and we're getting closer to that big quality jump I mentioned.
Because the quality jump we're aiming for is expected around mid-October or maybe at the beginning of November. So that's all, guys. I hope you liked the video. If you did, you know you can support it, share it, and especially if you're looking for an excellent pair, you have the foam here. So that's it. See you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.